So, Mo, we didn't really touch on this when we had our beautiful Cindy here a few minutes ago, but we have named you basically Philanthropist of the Year. And that's because you give back so much to the community. And I don't think anyone has given back either as much cash or cash value. And bluntly, like, think of the activity that it's created. So that's one aspect. You know, you're in charge of Prestige Jewelers. I would make it the most successful jewelry store in Fort McMurray history. But aside from that, you want to help youth. And we're sitting across Shayan. All I hear is amazing things about you, okay? So you're like a robotic genius. You're waking brainwave stuff that operates hands and all that. And that's right here in Fort McMurray. I'm going to start with you, Mo. Your program is to work with people like you that are up-and-coming entrepreneurs in the northern community, which we have a lot of resources, but also limited resources simultaneously. Explain to me what your consulting business does and why is it so important for you to give back and help the youth be successful.
So my consulting company started in 2020, right after COVID, right? When all the businesses in Fort McMurray just had that shock, what to do now, right? And everybody went on a pause mode and nobody knows where we're heading, and there was no clarity, and all the old techniques and traditional ways of running business all of a sudden changed. It was a really turning point for me and my business. We initiated Tarrabin Consulting, and it was very well focused on businesses and business coaching and financial analysis and budgeting and how to run a business in 2020 kind of thing. Especially living in Fort McMurray, that was easy to start, easy to establish. It went amazing, we did amazing. But throughout my community work, I would say, I noticed there is a gap between the youth and the future of Fort McMurray. Like, I noticed that lots of youth, that's it, when they reach grade 12, they believe that's it for me in Fort Mac. It's time for me to move outside Fort McMurray, and they usually go to Edmonton or Calgary or Toronto, and they study and they probably just sit there, right? I started my own mentorship program for the youth, and it was all free. I don't charge any fees or anything. I actually invest, and I actually find sponsors to take those youth to reach their goal and their dreams, right? For example, Shayan is one of them. He is a genius. I actually gave him a scholarship 3 years ago, right? From that time till now, this guy is just, you can tell he has a future. You can tell if he was living in the Silicon Valley, they would take him and they probably would made something big out of him. So why don't we do that at Fort McMurray? Why, right? And that's why I took it upon myself to make sure that he is not only successful in what he's doing, but also the public knows we have youth like him in our community, right? If you just listen to those youth and the ideas they have, you will be just astonished how much wasting are we doing on our youth. The philosophy I live by at the end of the day, if I can change one person to become successful, I'm good.
Tell me, what do you do?
So some of my community work started here. I worked with Startup YMM and Youth Computing, and we host annual hackathons. We teach youth, even sometimes adults, how to code. Primary goal was to introduce them to various technologies and how we're able to apply that. And especially living in a place like Fort McMurray, where there's so much opportunity, but it's overlooked.
Earlier today, you got to meet the legendary Doug Losky. So everything exists in this says his building, that's his building over there. He's arguably the most successful guy in Fort McMurray history, okay? And you remind me of a younger version of him. What were you showing him? Because I thought that was pretty cool. You had a hat that went on a head that you could operate with your brain, kind of a prototype. What was that?
What I'm working with now is called EEG, electroencephalogram. And what you're able to do is you're actually able to pick up a brainwave of some sort. There's little voltages that we can pick up, sort of like Neuralink-ish, but this is non-invasive. The robotic hand was actually a prosthetic. What you're able to do is, based on your hand movements, we're able to pick up a similar signal and export it in a specific way to make the prosthetic move.
So a person, hypothetically, if they were not paralyzed or they didn't have limbs, they could put that on their head, and if they train that arm, it could get them a glass of water or milk or something, you know what I mean? In time, you know?
So in time, eventually, yes. Right now, what we're working with, we're using ECG electrodes for that, but the goal is to have it solely independent on that headset there. Another little cool project we're working on is we have these two little electrodes. Based on the placement, we're able to control, or we're able to mess with someone's balance. So if I gave you this headset and I told you just walk in a straight line, someone could hold the controller, and literally tip you over from side to side.
What got you into this?
I started many, many years ago. What I'm most happy about is I didn't go into one specific field. I was kind of introduced to so many different things, competitions like youth competing in launch with Buffalo. I was actually a participant at these events long before I joined the team. I've been very involved with science fairs locally at a national level as well. I've received a couple of awards.
Had you had proper support of Fort McMurray in your journey? Would it be better support in Calgary or Edmonton or somewhere else?
Easily 100%. But nonetheless, I received really great support here.
What can we do better in this community to keep guys like you here?
Probably more open spaces for youth. And that's sort of what we're doing with Momentum here, what we're starting up. There's not much resources available locally here in Fort McMurray.
We need to work on that.
I've attended many programs. For example, I've attended a virtual program. They're a youth accelerator program, and they have youth from all around. And what really pushed me to deep thought was all these youth are building in public spaces that are open and available with so many different resources.
So you're telling you need like space to work. So I can give you 100. I mean, it's an hour and a half away, but the Conklin Rec Center is a ginormous empty building. If they set something up there to give you a space to play and work and experiment and whatever, would that be helpful? Same with Anzac, that's close, right?
In a way, it would. The other thing also is you can buy all the equipment out there, but if you don't have the right person to teach it properly, the person that has experience in those specific fields, that knows what they're doing, that have built projects in that space, you won't get very far.
You built two things with a 3D printer. Explain that to me. And one you said was a cheaper plastic and the other was a more expensive plastic. Explain that.
So it begins with prototyping like normal. You use software like CAD. It's more of a trial and error process. And that's what's so great about having printers, for example. You design something, you print it, see if it works, whatever you're working with. You just keep going on from there. The prosthetics that I'm working with, those took a couple months for sure.
So you could teach kids this?
Well, yeah, end to end. Because the thing is, I've started myself from the very beginning, and now I have at least a prototype of some sort, something that works. So I've been through the process already, and if someone was to come to me and was run me through each and every step, I would be able to explain it.
Mo, how does someone get a hold of you for your consulting business?
If you're interested in booking me for any coaching or consulting, you can reach me out at Tarrabin Consulting social media pages, and we can get your journey started.